At San Diego Comic Con recently, there was a panel celebrating the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. And yet, from the actual Star Trek in production right now, there's not an awful lot that really highlights that milestone. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 4 is currently airing, and Season 5 is coming out next year, but that show is finished. There will be no more of that show after Season 5. Likewise, Starfleet Academy will air its second and final season next year. Can't wait for that one. The only other Star Trek series in production is a short-form Nickelodeon kids cartoon series called Star Trek Scouts, which will do a second season. Yeah, so definitely it seems that the well has run dry when it comes to new Star Trek. There is a film in the works from writer-directing duo Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, and it's going to have a new cast set sometime in Star Trek's future. But what that timeline means and which universe it's going to be set in, that's still up to speculation. The film's script doesn't appear to be finished yet, and there's no official announcement of a release date. So there doesn't seem to be much momentum for that project at the present time. There hasn't been a Star Trek film since 2016's Star Trek Beyond, the final Kelvin timeline film. Paramount have seemingly been unable to move forward with a major cinematic Star Trek release, and it kind of reminds me of the status of Fast and Furious 11, a film many people have serious doubts as to whether it'll ever even get made. There's no real urgency for this new Star Trek film, and I'm skeptical if there's even much of an appetite for it. Star Trek movies back in the day, which is to say the first 10 films, 6 TOS films, 4 Next Generation films, they were kind of niche. I mean, they were. Which is why their budgets were generally not very big. With the exception of Motion Picture, which went over budget, of course, Paramount were understandably quite conservative with how much money they spent on those films, because the margins were relatively slim. Generally, the films were profitable, but the likes of Star Trek V barely made its money back, and Star Trek Nemesis was a flop, which ended the film franchise in 2002. It wasn't until the J.J. Abrams directed reboot in 2009 when serious money was thrown at a Star Trek film for the first time. Star Trek 2009 had a big budget relative to the first 10 films, and this was because Paramount were trying to turn Star Trek into a big summer blockbuster franchise that appealed to general audiences, which is why it was a fast-paced, loud, flashy, lowbrow action movie. It was a novelty at the time, and I think that's why it did okay. It did okay, but it didn't perform as well as Paramount hoped, because they wanted a billion-dollar movie franchise like Transformers. And Star Trek 2009 made just $385 million at the box office, as you can see here from Box Office Mojo, and it had a budget of $150 million. So they tried again in 2013. Into Darkness came out, and that made $467 million, although the budget was bigger again at $190 million. And finally, in 2016, Star Trek Beyond came out, and that made only $343 million from a $185 million budget. The failure of this film to generate significant profit is the reason a fourth Kelvin timeline movie never materialized. The issue is that, as we saw with the first 10 Trek films, spending massive money on a Star Trek movie is just not financially justifiable. It's not Star Wars, it's not James Bond, it's not Marvel, it's not Transformers or Jurassic World, it's not those kinds of franchises. Yes, Star Trek has a global but niche audience, and it doesn't have as much interest from general audiences. There's some interest, but not as much as there is for those other franchises I mentioned. And add to that the creative decline of the franchise in recent years, and how stunning and brave it's become, as we've seen with Star Trek Starfleet Academy. The franchise is just, I don't think it's in a good place at the present time. So coming back to the beginning, there's no new live-action Star Trek TV show in the works at the moment. Nothing has been greenlit. And the film sounds like it has a bit of a vague roadmap right now. And honestly, I think when it comes to Star Trek news, there's just nothing to see here, which is a great shame, because the 60th anniversary, I think, should be a time of great celebration for Star Trek fans. The 30th anniversary was marked by two fantastic episodes of Star Trek: Deep Space Nine's Trials and Tribulations and Voyager's Flashback. And they both faithfully connected back to the original series, and both episodes served as a wonderful valentine to the beginning of the franchise and the history of Star Trek. No such commemorative episode appears to be on the horizon in 2026. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified of future updates. Share the video out there. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.